What is going on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, cats and dogs? You are listening to another heart-stopping, leg-dropping, elbow-smashing episode of Rebellion Wrestling Radio. And as always, I'm your host, Ryan, a.k.a. Mr. Showtime. And my trusty co-host, coming live via satellite, via the bat phone, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Joe Dub. Joe, what is going on, my friend?
Where's the clapping at in the background? Clap. Where's the applause?
We're putting it in post, but I do got an entire arena cheering for you right now. We got the yes chants and everything going on.
Oh, I'll take that.
That's right. Dude, man, I am just happy to be talking with you and talking with everybody here on the show, and I'm just glad it's the weekend's here. I mean, you can't go wrong with the weekend, you know. And
everybody's working for the weekend, right? Is that how it goes?
That is exactly how it goes, man. And I shouldn't talk because I was on vacation for like 5 days. I only worked 2 days, but man, those 2 days were like they were brutal. You know, I think it's kind of like a weird thing. Like if you take off like more than like an extended like 3-day weekend. I think when you come back, you kind of you have to like kind of get in the swing of things again, and then B, you just don't want it makes you not want to be there that much more. So I'm glad that my 2 days are over. Yeah, man, yeah. So we're here.
5 days and come back. That first day back, you be like, man, what's my password?
Oh, dude, like there was like a couple things where I'm like basic things, and I'm like, how do I do my job again? And you know, I had to think about it for a minute. So that's just how it is, man. But
exactly.
But yeah, you know, it is what it is. You know, gotta get back on the horse, I guess. That's what they say, right?
Right.
That's right. And honestly, I'm happy to come back. We're doing the podcast here, talking about the wacky world of professional wrestling. And I'll tell you what, we talked last week about pro wrestling themes, and this week I definitely want to talk about some other stuff, in particular pro wrestling video games, because they kind of go hand in hand, with sports entertainment, pro wrestling, all that fun stuff. But before we get into that, I got to do shameless plugs. Shameless plugs is how we live and die in the podcast world. So guys, as always, if you want to check us out, we're at rebellionwrestling.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, RWR_wrestling. We're on iTunes, Spreaker, anywhere else you can find your favorite pro wrestling podcast. Go ahead and type in the words Rebellion Wrestling, and we're there. And if you want to love us a long time, and we'll love you back, go to prowrestlingtees.com/rebellionwrestling. Get yourself a kick-ass pro wrestling t-shirt, help keep the lights on here, and help keep some clothes on yourself. I think that was pretty good right there, right? Nice and quick. Got everything out of the way. Also, March 25th, if you guys are going to be in the Cleveland area, head out to Elyria, go to Mega Championship Wrestling's Mo Money, Mo Problems. We're going to be there live, doing some interviews with the talent, some interviews with you, the fans. So you're going to, we're going to put a microphone in your face, and you can say whatever you want, because we really don't care. Go get your tickets. It's at MegaChampionshipWrestling.com. Get some ringside seats. It's a great promotion, family friendly too. So check it out. My friend, we are gamers, and we love pro wrestling. First of all, just talking about talking about gaming, how hyped are you for the Nintendo Switch?
You know what? I was extremely hyped until I actually sat and looked at the launch list, and
what is
I have to agree with a lot of internet websites that the launch list is horrible. Like this, it's the worst that Nintendo's had ever since like the GameCube. Because remember, with the GameCube, we got Luigi's Mansion. We didn't even get a Mario.
We didn't. I know that's true. Yeah. But
and in my opinion, my honest opinion, when you come out, when you set this up and the marketing and everything for the new system and stuff, in my opinion, your flagship game is supposed to come out. Now, granted, Zelda's coming out. I'm a big Zelda fan.
Yeah.
But that doesn't appeal to the mass media. That appeals to what, maybe 20-30% of people?
Yeah, man, just give me Super Mario. Give me Super Mario.
Right. And Mario don't come out till holiday. They don't even have a month. Holiday 2017. So it's like, to me, you have your hardcore people who will be like, whatever, I'm going to buy it anyway. But then, like, a person like me is like, well, Mario ain't there. I would be getting it for the kids and then, playing it when I can. It's no reason for me to technically buy it at this moment. And then Mario Kart don't come out till April, late April. So, I'm on the fence. I just feel like, the launch titles is what you need to base everything on. That's how you get people coming out. You shouldn't be like, oh, well, in June and July, we'll have a lot more. No. Then don't drop it until June or July. I don't know. That's my opinion. What do you think?
No, I hear you. I mean, I think I'm one of the suckers. I look at it and I'm like, oh, the concept is super, super cool. Like, I can't deny that. I actually didn't really jump into the launch titles because I knew I wasn't going to get it right away. I do want to eventually get that. But, on the flip side, if there's not going to be any games for it, it's going to be the same situation as the Wii U, where it's a real cool concept, but it just fell flat on its face. Off the top of your head, do you know some of the games in the launch list?
Honestly, off the top of my head, no. I know Zelda. I know it's an RPG that I'm not familiar with. It's not like a big name one, but apparently it's been doing good on DS, I think, on the 3DS. Okay. It's like 4 or 5 games, but it's nothing like major. Like, you're making me about to go down and go get my iPad because now I need to know because I forgot.
I'm actually looking them up now. I know this doesn't directly tie into the show here, but let me see. Okay. Let's see. Here's the launch titles for March 3rd. Holy crap, we are in March already. I know that's something that old people say to each other. Where's the time gone? But it's the truth. Alright, check this out. Okay, we got Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I knew what Skylanders are, because I know my brother was really into Skylanders for a while. Not my cup of tea. Super Bomberman. Okay. I'm assuming that's just like the Bomberman games.
Right.
Just Dance 2017. How are you going to play Just Dance on the Switch? I
guess you're going to be holding that small. I mean, because the two sides switch off, and then you can use them as 2-player.
That's true. These other ones: Fast RMX, Human Resource Machine, I Am Setsuna, Shovel Knight. There's that one there. Snipper Clips. World of Goo. I really don't know. I don't know what any of these are, but the only one that kind of piques my interest, other than Zelda, and it's not even a launch title. It's listed as March/Spring. Is we're gonna get Mario Kart 8. So that's something there.
Yeah, the Mario. That's Mario Kart. You can't go wrong with Mario Kart. But
no,
that's my thing. It's like, you couldn't do something. I mean, I know Nintendo's perfection, but you couldn't do something that I would say, you bringing out Zelda, you need something else, because out of them titles you listed, there's nothing else that entices me. Like, oh man, we got to get that on launch day. It's just, I don't know. I think you said World of Goo.
World of Goo, yeah. I don't even know what that is. I mean, I'm sure.
I think that's a multiplayer game where you're shooting people with goo. I think that's exactly what it is, if I'm not mistaken. I remember watching like a 2-hour Switch presentation and stuff, and it looked cool, but it wasn't enough. Like I said, you want to get people out of their seats and make them want to go, just like how the Nintendo Classic came out.
Exactly. Like, all these game titles, to me, they really scream like mobile game. Like, they all seem like something that I can just go to the, you can go to your iTunes store, you can go to the Google Play Store and just download the same thing, probably for free.
Exactly.
or mod it somehow to whatever system you currently have. So I mean, after looking at the launch list, well, I am with you until I at least see some Mario on there, and also I'm waiting for a Metroid game on there. Then I'm probably gonna hold off. I was gonna hold off anyways, wait for the price to go down, but
the price actually isn't that bad, but
it's not
compared to like compared to like the actual titles and stuff, yeah, it's not worth it. But yeah, you give me a Metroid, give me a third person Metroid.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I've been waiting for a third person Metroid forever. But shoot, give me a wrestling game too. I mean, Rebellion Wrestling, give me a wrestling game. That's what I want.
There you go. And perfect segue. And then the main topic of today's show, and that is pro wrestling and video games, a match made in heaven. My friend, we have played these games from back in the day on the original NES up until the current next-gen consoles now. I know you made a list. Now, this list, is this like your personal favorites, or are these just some notable mentions here, or what do you got on your list there?
It's a mixture. It's a mixture of all-time favorites, which I'm sure they're dead smack with yours, because if you're a wrestling game head, just like me, then these, what I'm listing off, you probably played before, definitely. So, I mean, it goes back from the NES too. And you know what? With me, I haven't actually had much experience with the newer ones, like the 2Ks. I just, I never have. I heard they were good. I heard they're hit or miss depending on the year.
Yeah.
But
well, and then you think about it, like, and I'm like the person that buys Madden every year. I'll buy the 2K game, the WWE version, obviously, every year, and it's almost like Madden. Like, okay, some years they really revamp the game, and some years it's just a glorified roster change and maybe a few new features.
Right, it's like, what's different, or you'll have this perfect game. It's funny you mentioned Madden, because I was a big Madden fan forever. It's funny because, one year they'll focus on the rushing, so the rushing was great, but then the passing was in. Then the next year they'll focus on the passing, but the rushing sucked. And it's like, why can't you just tweak what you need to, but keep what you already have?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are you breaking the system? So, and, with wrestling games, they've definitely evolved from NES and the arcade all the way up to current.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's definitely not like the good old days where, me personally, I would have to say the Nintendo 64 held two of the best wrestling games of all time.
Oh, hands down, absolutely. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, because it's none other. That's true, and you mentioned arcade, and that's something I didn't even think about when we were kind of planning out the episode here. I remember like my dad randomly taking me to like Chuck E. Cheese here and there, and I don't know, for myself, like I was never like, I'm gonna go play whack-a-mole or skee-ball or even jump in the ball pit. I was either at the Ninja Turtles game, I was either at Rampage, the X-Men game, or they had the two WWF games. They had Superstars and WrestleFest. Do you remember those ones?
You said X-Men, that X-Men, Turtles, man.
I know, right? Brings back memories.
It definitely does. I can't even. I'm drawing a blank right now, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think.
Are you talking about?
I'm drawing a blank.
I'm
drawing
with WrestleFest and Superstars. Is that what?
I do remember. Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember those.
Very cartoony.
100%.
Oh yeah. And then, like, the one, I can't remember, and this was always a way to get your extra quarters, was one of them had, like, a Royal Rumble mode, where if you got eliminated, it'd just be like, oh, yeah, join back in, 50 cents. You know, you just throw all your dang quarters in there, trying to win this Rumble. And it was always more fun when a lot of people were playing at the same time. You know, everybody's kind of getting into it. That's probably one of the, if I can get, like, a full arcade cabinet, it would have to be one of those. I think that would just, it would be hours of fun. Or if I could find a way to get it on my PlayStation, I would love that.
Yeah, I would. I remember actually going to the arcade and sitting there putting in plenty of quarters to get the dog on with the Royal Rumble and everything, or getting thrown out or something, and then okay, let me throw another one in to jump back in and stuff, and then by the time you jump back in towards the end, you end up getting jobbers you don't even want to play with.
That's right. Yeah,
like,
man.
Like, how did this person even get on this game? Like, how are they actual creators? Is this a creative character?
I think, like, yeah, the one, they had, like, the Repo Man on there, I'm pretty sure. It was just, it was, like, back in, like, the early 90s, and they had, like, your big guys, they had, like, Hogan and Warrior and Savage and all that, and then they'd have, like, just random dudes on there, like, you know, I can't remember everybody, because, granted, I was probably 4 or 5 years old at the time, so, it just brings back memories. I mean, what is your, you know, you were talking about, like, back from the NES, like, what were the games you played on the NES?
Shoot, the one that automatically comes to mind without even writing it down or anything is WCW Wrestling.
I never got to play that. I always saw the cover, the one with the Road Warriors on it, right?
Yeah. That one, you got World Championship Wrestling, which I'm trying to think if it's the same thing, because if you was to bring it up on YouTube right now, it's everybody knows it because it comes with World Championship Wrestling. And it's funny because when you actually play something now compared to like 20 years ago, especially even if it was like your favorite game, you'll sit there and you'll be like, this is crap. How did I play this?
That's tough, yeah.
Like,
with anything like that,
like
you go back.
Right, some things actually have replay value, and I mean, it depends because everybody's different. I mean, if you think about original NES, over 1,000 games easily, so I have games I love that people never even heard of, and the same here. I was like, what's that? But with, you know, the cool thing about having emulators, you can easily, oh, what is that? Let me go to that. Oh, this is crap. What is this? And I've tried to play WCW Wrestling before, and I'm hitting there, smashing the buttons, and I'm like, get up, you only dropped, your body fluid you. Why are you 3 count? Come on, what are you doing?
Yeah. I never got that one. Like, I remember seeing that, like, the advertisements for that on the back of, like, you know, random comic books and magazines, and this is, like, when I was into wrestling, but I was, like, still kind of younger, and I was, like, into, like, you know, the Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joes, and all that stuff. That was, like, my bread and butter there, but I knew of wrestling, and I watched it, like, with my dad, and I just remember seeing that picture of the Road Warriors, and I'm like, these guys are freaking larger than life, just crazy looking dudes, and I'm like, I want this game, but I never got to play it, never got the game, so maybe that's where the emulator will come in one day.
I'm gonna bring my original Xbox over, and we're gonna play some WCW Wrestling, or we're gonna play Tecmo Wrestling. That's another one where they had, you know, generic wrestlers. There was this guy, Snake something. He had this tiger stripe type pants and stuff. It was sweet to me. He used to do this sweet drop kick, and I'm like, oh, that's the greatest thing ever. And now it's 2017, and you know.
Well, yeah. I remember my grandma would she was like, and I talk like she's not here. She's still here with us, but she always used to love to go to garage sales. Like, she was like the queen of garage sales. Like, she would be like, she'd get like her maps and everything, and she'd know where everything's gonna be. So she would hook me up with like a lot of, like, we had an NES, and she would hook me up with like all these NES games. And the one that she brought home was it was literally called, it was actually one of the first releases on NES. It was simply called Pro Wrestling. You know which one I'm talking about?
I remember the cover, the extremely generic 8-bit cover. I think one of the guys had blue on and the other had orange or something like that.
Yeah. And my favorite dude to play was Starman. Like, he was just like all purple, star in his face, and kind of look, I guess it's like their version of a luchador, and he'd do like the sweet like roundhouse kick. And I don't know, man. That game was fun for me. I would play that thing for hours, even before I was smartened up to pro wrestling.
I guess we gotta add that to the list. I introduced you to WCW wrestling. You introduced me to pro wrestling.
That sounds like a deal to me. What else do you have in your list?
Oh man, what direction do you want me to go? Do you need me to go with a common one that I know we have interest, or do you need me to just jump into it with the greatest one of all time, period, point blank?
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Let's move forward in the timeline. I mean, we go from the NES and we move to the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. Do you remember the Royal Rumble game?
I actually do. That 1993. Yeah, I had that for my Super Nintendo. See, my brother, he always got the Nintendos and I always got the Genesis, but we shared. But then, of course, if he's playing the Super Nintendo, I can't play it. So
I know how that works.
I could play with him. But he always made me pick whack people. Like I remember the first time I'm like, "Ooh, I'm gonna pick Crush," and he's like, "Yeah, okay." And I just like the name. The name was just sweet to me, like Crush, And I mean, now I look back on it like, what was I thinking? But
and you're like laughing at him. You're like, yeah, go pick that pretty boy, Shawn Michaels. Yeah, he's nothing. He's gonna be nobody in a few years.
Right. Yeah, go and pick Big Boss Man. Yeah, go and do that.
I love that game, and it was really just for the Royal Rumble, because it was a lot of fun. I think it was the first, from what I remember, the first NES game, or the first game they had with that engine, where they actually had finishing moves. Because there was one that came out before it. I think it was just called Super WrestleMania, and it was a real letdown because nobody had finishing moves, and that really bothered me.
Yeah, wrestling is definitely evolved. You're absolutely right.
Gotta have that. And from there, like, we had it was almost the same engine there. They had the I think it was WWF Raw, and that's I remember that one because it had like Yokozuna on it and had Diesel. I was really into Diesel then, and that was another one. Go ahead.
Was that for Super Nintendo or Genesis?
I had it for Super Nintendo. I think they had it for both.
Okay. Because the only Raw I remember is for the Xbox, and I remember that specifically because I was actually working at GameStop at the time, and the game sucked.
It was garbage.
The game sucked.
It was garbage.
But what it stands out for to this day is the fact that you can have custom theme music for your entrance. And we had that Joe Santana dip sit. I had that for when Brock Lesnar would come out. So when he would be, be bouncing in place, he would be bouncing to when he's saying dip set. So it was so perfectly played.
You synced it up. That's good. That's something with the next gen or the current gen systems right now. They've eliminated that on the wrestling games. Yeah, up until like the Nintendo, not the Nintendo, the PlayStation 3. and the Xbox 360, you were able to have custom music, but for some reason with the next gens, they've taken that feature out, at least on the WWE games.
That's dumb.
That sucks. Yeah.
It could be copywriting type issues, or it might not have been that popular amongst people.
Oh, it was
or
huge.
They might have just taken it out to add. They might have taken it out to add extra stuff that's more vital, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I mean, I can deal with it. Obviously, it's not ruining my life or anything, but it was definitely something that added to the creativity there. The other one, we were talking about the Super Nintendo, and this was it's a little bit more obscure, and it's not a WWF game, it's not a WCW game. It was a game called Saturday Night Slam Masters. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not hip to that one.
Okay.
That's a new one.
Okay, you remember the game Final Fight, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love me some Final Fight.
You know the mayor who was like a wrestler? The dude with like the porn stash? Well, this is about it's set in the same universe, like he's in the game, and imagine a wrestling game. It takes place, in a ring and all that, but it's the Final Fight gaming engine. So it's like a cross between Final Fight, pro wrestling, and like Street Fighter.
You about to make me go down to my Xbox now and go and get this cracking.
I'm telling you, man, Saturday Night Slam Masters. That's one where I would play that. Me and my cousin. I think it was actually his game, and he left it over there, and I just never gave it back to him. But we would play that game nonstop, and it was all just generic made up dudes. So I think that's another thing. So we didn't fight over who was going to be who. We just picked our favorite guys. They had small dudes. They had overly muscular dudes. They had your typical fat dude. Like your Vader guy. It was a lot of fun, man. You got to check it out. Saturday Night Slam Masters. I think you personally would love this game.
Well, I guess we're gonna add that to the list, then.
Oh, hell yeah! Yeah,
that's number 3 we gotta play together. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna be going through wrestling games.
I know, right? What else you got on your list, man? What's your? I mean, we got to move on to Nintendo 64, which is gonna be that's the granddaddy right there.
Well, with Nintendo 64, technically what I think started a revolutionary period of wrestling games would be you got to pay homage to WCW NWO World Tour.
Yes.
At the time, that definitely was a good game. It was fun. Play with NWO, play with the WCW people and everything.
Were you a WCW guy?
You know what? At the time of the Monday Night Wars and everything, we actually didn't have cable.
Okay.
But we had bootleg cable, but I wasn't really hip to it at the time. I would see bits and pieces here and there. I would catch Thunder, which of course was their B-level show, and so I wasn't really familiar with the people. I usually just I think at that same time WWF Warzone came out, and I really didn't know who was who. So I'm just ooh, I like this person, and it was Kane. I liked his outfit, so that's who I picked. But then he ended up being slow and stuff, and if I'm picking characters, I like more fast, agile people, so I would pick more so now, like a Shawn Michaels or a Evan Bourne if we're going back in the day, or a John Morrison, somebody like that who's like a cruiserweight type wrestler.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, man, you were talking about the NWO, WCW NWO World Tour. I didn't have that one, but my brother and I we had a PlayStation 1 eventually, and they had I think we did get it was either Warzone or Attitude. It was basically the same game. But we got this one. It was just like World Tour, but it was called WCW versus the World. I remember
that one too.
Yeah, I remember.
That's the one with Sting on the cover, right?
That's the one, and that's I was when I grew up, like in my household, like during the Monday Night Wars, like my mom was a little more strict with like WWF because it was a little bit more raunchy and whatnot. So WCW was cool in the house, so it was cool to watch that. But I kind of had to like watch WWF on the DL. So we, anything that was bought as like maybe a Christmas present, birthday present, was always going to be WCW. And I remember getting this game, and it was cool, man, because the engine was good. They had it was basically just the virtual pro wrestling game on a PlayStation 1, But some of the moves were like
absolutely.
You'd have like Sting doing like a moonsault, like that shit never happened, but you didn't care because you're a kid,
Right, it's like, oh, hey, fantasy.
Exactly. Did you have WCW versus NWO World Tour?
Yes, I actually did, because what happened was, the 60 and 64 and the PlayStation 1 came out like at the same time, because they were supposed to join forces to come out with the N64 DD, but they ended up going their separate ways. A little tidbit for y'all wrestling fans who are very unfamiliar with that. So I had a choice between a PlayStation 1, Final Fantasy 7, or a Nintendo 64 and Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda.
Oh, you gotta go with 64.
Zelda right. So I went that route. So that's how I was introduced to World Tour. Went over to a friend's house. He was playing. I'm like, oh man, I like this. But by that time, its successor, much better WCW NWO Revenge came out. So I ended up buying that one.
Oh, hands down, yeah. Like I remember, I really wanted a 64. So like, this is gonna sound so weird, sound so childish, but like, I used to always save like my change, and any kind of like, birthday money and all that, and just put it in. I had this Batman piggy bank, right? And I really wanted this 64, and then, my dad was like, all right, well, let's see how much money you got. And, I think I had that. I'm sure he helped me a little bit too, but we got the 64, and that's the game I picked, was Revenge. And dude, man, hours upon hours of playing, and like, that's the first game I remember that you can edit and kind of create your own dude. And man, the like I said, hours upon hours.
Yeah, that's where it started, I think. And I'm pretty sure Jax at the time, which they were under THQ, I'm pretty sure they did World Tour and Revenge, because then one of my all-time favorites, not the all-time favorite, but just a cough under it, WWF WrestleMania 2000.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I know for a fact that THQ did do that, because they had two random wrestlers there. And I remember like the guys that they did have on there on Revenge. They had the THQ man, and they had the Aki. I think that was the other company. And I remember this specifically because those two dudes had like the sickest moves, and they were like invincible. And my dad would always pick. Yeah, my dad would always pick those guys, and I never wanted to be them. Like I wanted to be like Sting or like Kevin Nash. And my dad would whoop my ass every time and, like, laugh in my face. And it's like, he'd be like, oh, no, man, I'm picking Aki Man. I'm like, whatever, Dad. I'm like, you suck, whatever. I get so mad at him.
That's not fair, man. That's like picking all Madden. Like, picking the all Madden team.
Exactly. I'm like, come on, man. Pick Disco Inferno. What are you doing, man? Come on.
Right.
Oh, man. So, okay, WrestleMania 2000. Like, I understand. Like, that's when WCW they let the contract with THQ expire. WWE picked it up. At that time, they were doing the SmackDown games on PlayStation,
PlayStation,
which were all right. I mean, they're if I would go back to anything, I would go back to 64. But did you were you like losing your mind when you saw that WWE or WWF at the time was basically getting a No Mercy port?
That, yes, because this is how serious it was. Funko, oh, shut up. Our city, right there by the Sweet Factory, we pre-ordered our game. Me and Sean, best friend, pre-ordered the game, paid it off. We skipped school that day. Kids stay in school, don't do what we do. We had the whole day planned. We actually went, picked up the game when the doors opened, got right back on the Rapid, and took the bus right back home.
There you go, yep.
And played No Mercy all day like we were at school, and then I went home like normal, just like a normal day. And the thing about it, No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000 are pretty much the exact same game. They're perfect, pretty much flawless. But the difference is, on No Mercy, you can do 3Ds with the Dudley Boys. And when I say that me and Shine was 3Ding anybody and everybody who came into the living room, it was going down. Oh,
hell yeah. My favorite thing of No Mercy and was like the obviously the creations, but like the I don't know what the career mode was called. I think it might have just been Road to WrestleMania, but that was like the first time I saw like branching storylines. Like if you end up losing, you don't have to redo it. You continue on with the story, but you might just do a different path. I thought that was freaking awesome.
Right. It was so creative. It was almost like I know they have comic books out there where you fight him or run, and if you run, turn to page 62. Fight him, turn to page 40.
Exactly.
So it definitely gave you those options, and in between matches, if you're backstage, it would ask you, how you want to speak to this person. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That's where the nook and cranny. And then don't forget about the creator wrestler. Like, dude, I kid you not, and I will even show you. I think I still own it. Me and Sean own jointly WrestleMania 2000. I kid you not. Once every 2 or 3 years, we will play it like it just came out. I think he still has the championship title. I think I have the tag team title. We created like 15 people, and we have certain people that we play with a lot. My one dude, I think I called him Chain Reaction. I can't remember. We'll bring that back up at another time.
All right.
The first time, he has a submission where he would crawl over you and he would just start punching you in your head. And the first time I did it, he tapped out and he lost the title to me. He was like, "What the hell was that?" And I was like, "I just knocked your ass out. What are you talking about?"
Did you,
He didn't know. He didn't know I created my people. And of course, when you're looking for a sweet finishing move, you're going through and it. The 3D model shows you what it is, and I'm like, "Oh, I need that." So yeah, definitely.
Did you okay, well, let me ask you this, and I know I've done this, and I still do to this day on the current gen models with the creation suite. I'm sure you created yourself. You created like your wrestling persona. What was your guy, and like, do you remember like his finisher and like his gimmick?
The funny thing about that, I have never created actual me.
No, you haven't.
I did. I haven't. I actually haven't. I tried before, and I could never get the head right. The head was a little too big, or I just could never get it right. So
you were a perfectionist.
I had special people. Right. I tried to with rest. I mean, you think about it. You in school, you're not doing nothing. You sitting here hours upon hours creating the perfect wrestler, and you don't want them like undefeatable, but you have different qualities about each and every one. That's another thing. I'm gonna bring on Nintendo 64, and I'm gonna show you these people. That's gonna happen within weeks.
I gotta see that.
Definitely, because you gotta see them. I created a branch of people. My first one was called Firestorm. White guy, red hair, red pants, hence fire. Mm-hmm. And then I created Snowstorm, and I think I created another one. It was like 3 of them. They almost like, you might as well say they were the same sprites, just like Reptile and Scorpion and
yeah.
Just same person, just different colors. That's it.
So you essentially you created a better Glacier than the real Glacier.
You're absolutely right. That why would you bring that up? It's a wrestling podcast.
Oh man,
that's horrible.
Well, I tell you what, man.
I'm glad I was not watching wrestling at that time, because I actually seen it on the WWE Network, which is $9.99.
Yeah, nice plug.
And it was hilarious. Like that was horrible. I think it was on the worst gimmicks, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
it was pretty rough. I remember when he came out, and I'm like, they did all this hype about it. And again, going back to I was allowed to watch WCW, so Nitro was on every Monday. And when Mom walks out of the room, switch over to Raw, but watch a little bit of Nitro every night. And I remember when Glacier came out, and I'm like, this guy's he looks cool, but I'm like, I'm not here to watch karate. If I want to watch karate, I'll put a Van Damme movie in or something like that, or Jackie Chan. But I thought it was kind of corny. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
He was very corny, just like the what was the other guy, the one that had that big helmet on and ended up falling.
Oh, the damn Shockmaster. That was Typhoon.
Thank you.
Did you know that a buddy showed me this? He does like a lot of toy collecting, and he doesn't collect like wrestlers, but he sent me like a tweet, and they made, I guess WWE made a Shockmaster action figure, but he's in the package upside down, so it looks like he's falling through the package.
That's hilarious.
I'm like, I thought about buying it. Oh man,
we probably worth some money.
I probably will be one.
I never got into the SmackDowns on the original PlayStation, because like I said, I was playing Nintendo 64. But I did get into, and I'm sure you did too, the ones on PlayStation 2. Here Comes the Pain, which is in my top 3. That right there was pretty much the perfect wrestling game.
Yeah, that was for me, and I'll tell a story about that. Like, I know we had the 2 that came before it. We had the Shut Your Mouth, and then we had the SmackDown, the Know Your Role or whatever, and they were all right. But I remember, like, Here Comes the Pain. It had everybody on there. You can challenge for random titles. The career mode was insanely long. I remember this is one of the first ones where they actually had like the UK arenas on there from like the random obscure UK pay-per-views, and you move and you grow up and you get rid of stuff. Fast forward into my adult years, I'm probably in my mid to late 20s, and I'm downtown. I'm at Tower City. Tower City is a place in Cleveland for everybody who's not local listening. And I popped into GameStop, and this is when they were still selling the old PlayStation 2 games. And I still had a PlayStation 2 like in storage, and I bought No Mercy. Here Comes the Pain, and it was just like getting on a bike, man. Like that game, like I played it for hours. And this is me who had like I was playing like the updated stuff, but that's like that one, and I think No Mercy, and even Revenge. You goes back to those 3 games, and like you said, it's got that replay value.
Absolutely. Like it was a time where we were going back to Here Comes the Pain, and Shut Your Mouth and Just Brink It were good as well, but it's just it's like they knew what they needed to do when they just kept upping the level and upping it, and then you had Here Comes the Pain, and it was just like for years, going through the story mode, and the creator restaurant there was fun too. Like that right there. I actually, you know what? I might still own it because I bought a PS2. It was a few years back because I was in a nostalgic mode, and I bought a PS2. I bought Grand Theft Auto 3. I bought God of War, and I bought Here Comes the Pain. But then ended up never playing it.
Yeah.
So I need to. I'm not sure if. Do you know if they have PS2 emulators? Because if they do, that would be perfect.
I mean, I'm sure you can emulate anything at this point, you know.
Right. But then, I mean, PS2s really don't cost much, and then I'm sure Here Comes the Pain. I'm sure it can't be no more than $15 or something like that. So
yeah, you probably get like a PS2 for like $25 and pick that up. Probably walk out with everything you need for less than $50, really.
That's what we need to do. We need a wrestling. We need WrestleFest.
Oh my god, I know. And like, we can keep going on and on. Like, I could talk about like the 2K series and all that, but I mean, those ones are, like I said, those are self-explanatory. I really wanted to touch on like, the nostalgic factor of like, what we used to play, and the WWE and WCW, pro wrestling in general. They've had like that tie with video games. It's just a way to kind of connect the fan a little bit more to the product and get them a little bit more involved. And even with today's games where, you can upload right on YouTube, and, you go to YouTube and these dudes are making like full videos and full like wrestling leagues with just their created dudes. And it's kind of cool. They're creating friendships and whatnot, through video games. And I'm an advocate for that. That sometimes people are like, you just sit in a house and it's like the typical parent talking to the kid. You sit in the house and you don't make any friends. Well, I think now with video games, you have an opportunity to make friends. Through online playing, and you meet up with people. It's kind of like when like Pokemon Go just came out. People were meeting up and
absolutely.
So I just
that was cool for a long time too. That lasted for a while. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people still play it, but like to me, that replay factor is done now. Like after a day and then a week, and I'm like, oh man, why don't I have it on? And I'm like, that to me, that's when you realize that it's been like a week and you haven't did something. It's like, I guess I'll delete the app now.
Exactly.
But it was like a solid 2 months where, like on lunch, I would find like different Pokestops, and I would go to the park and then be catching them and stuff. So
there you go.
So yeah, and it's funny. Did you ever try that one WWE game?
Which one?
Maybe a year ago or something. I think it's called Supercard or something.
No. You know what? I looked at it. I'm not good with I was never like a card RPG guy. Like I never got into like Dungeons and Dragons or Magic or Pokemon or anything like that. Like my brother was really into Yu-Gi-Oh, so I know what that is. But I looked at it and I'm like, I don't know, man. Did you play it?
I did, and it actually has nothing to do with that you would think it is. And I mean, it has somewhat of an RPG feel to it, but it's more so just you collecting the different people, and then you can play different people online with your different cards, and like you can have like 4 different Dean Ambrose cards, but one of them is the stronger one because the strength is so. The strength is like a 500 versus your other one is like a 200. So it has some RPG elements in it, but just the fact that it was wrestling, I stuck with it for a few weeks. And like I said, next thing I know, it's been a month. And I'm like, I guess I could delete that and, free up some space.
Exactly.
So, I was curious about that one that they're advertising now where they got, what is it, Macho Man and Undertaker and Ric Flair, a really big, cocky Ric Flair at that.
Yeah. I think it's almost like Candy Crush, it looks like, right?
Oh, you know what that is what it is, huh?
Yeah.
Right, and then when you do the moves, then it actually does moves with the wrestlers up top, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm downloading that when we get off.
Yeah, let me know.
It's going down.
Let me know what it's like. I might try it.
I will, definitely. We'll report that on our next show.
And give me something. So, like, before we wrap up, did you play, like, do you know, like, any games, like, and I know a few myself, like, pro wrestling games where they just flat out sucked?
So, the couple that comes to mind, as we already mentioned, WWF Raw for the Xbox. A lot of, well, if we go back in the day to the WWF Steel Cage Challenge, I think it was called, that sucked. That was horrible. If you think about it, a lot of the older ones, like when we, like NES or even Genesis, the big problem was the controls. So trying to get in and out of the ring, or trying to throw somebody into the turnbuckle, or just different things like that. Those were the difficult things. A lot of times you were just button smashing it, hoping you did a move the way you were supposed to. More newer gen, I would say, I know GameCube, pretty much everything that came out for the GameCube sucked. It was the Legends of Wrestling that had Andre the Giant in the front that I was so pumped about. I was actually working at GameStop at that time, and we played the demo, and it seemed fun, and then when the full game came out, it was garbage. You know what? That wasn't Legends of Wrestling. That was, I think it was WrestleMania 19 or 29.
Oh, 21, yeah. That was
WrestleMania 19.
Yeah, that was really bad.
21, there you go. But, and they also had, it was called Legends of Wrestling, and they had Hulk Hogan on the front because it was supposed to be all these old school legends.
Uh-huh.
It was a couple of them I've never even heard of. I'm like, they must be legends overseas or something. I don't know who these are. But the concept was great, but just the controls sucked.
Yeah, I remember that. It was really bad.
I mean, that's what can make or break a wrestling game. The customization and the controls. If the controls is hard to get a doggone move off or a finisher, then you got to suck your game.
Exactly. Well, hopefully we won't have to deal with stuff like that anymore. Now I want to go buy myself an old 64. I know you're going to be checking out some emulated games, so we're definitely going to do that there. So we're going to put a bow.
Yeah, I'm bringing my 64. I'm bringing it over.
Oh, heck yeah.
We're playing some WrestleMania 2000.
I'm down with that. Absolutely. All right. Well, here, go ahead.
No, you're good. You can. Hey, we're just talking, people. That's simple as that. We're just talking.
That's
having fun.
So yeah, man. I'm glad we had the conversation. I hope some of our older, I don't say older, but like fans our age, listeners our age, you guys had a chance to take a stroll down memory lane, and some of maybe our younger fans and our younger listeners, you may want to check out your local game exchange and take a look at some of these old titles. I think you guys will really like them. But I think I'm going to wrap the show up because I think your Storm, I think you sent it over here because it's going crazy over here now. And I think I want to make sure that we get everything recorded in case the power goes out. But do you have anything else you want to plug before we wrap this one up and put a nice bow on it?
Nah, I mean, I think we said it. Just, anybody who's not familiar with what we were talking about with the old school games, No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, WCW, NWO Revenge, and all the other ones, local CD game exchange, and I mean, nowadays, Amazon and eBay, best friends.
Oh, heck yeah.
Buy your Nintendo 64 and the doggone extra controller and the game right there. It might be able to get it on Prime.
There you go. All right. Well, guys, we will be back next week. Be sure to check us out right here on the Stolen Show Network. We're going to be live on Spreaker for all of our past episodes. You can check us out on iTunes. We are on Spreaker.com, Podcast Republic, pretty much anywhere else. Like I said before, you can find your favorite pro wrestling podcasts. Always take a look at our website, rebellionwrestling.com. And, be kind to each other, love each other. Joe, I want to thank you for joining me this week.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, guys. So, hey, we're going to send you off with our intro music from our friends Impending Lies. You guys got to check them out. We got a link to their website right on our page. This song is called which one is this? I don't know which one because we use so many of theirs. But check it out, impendinglies.com, and we'll see you guys next week. Later.
Peace.